This is the third video in our processing widget series. We're going to talk about the additional features of the processing widget. Email, custodians, and extra data are the things we're going to focus on. I'll explain what extra data means here in a second. So let's just hop right into it. So we've got our, open up our processing widget. Let's first start with custodians because it's the easiest thing to understand. It's a relatively minor feature, important in certain circumstances. But you must have a license in order to utilize this. I'm not sure exactly which products it's in, but I do not believe it's in Investigator. I think it's in Legal and Collaboration. Nonetheless, if you have either of those licenses, you should have this pop up here. If you want to add a custodian to the case, you click on this button and there's a custodian right here, and we'll go ahead and add him. Once the custodian is added to the case, when I add information, add data, I can go ahead and select the custodian that I want to assign that data to. Let's actually do this. Go ahead and select a case. Let's do video demo. This is one we made in the previous processing widget demo. Let's go ahead and add this guy to this case. All right, and we've already processed some data into this, but let's go ahead and add additional data. Evidence. I'm just going to navigate to whatever it is I want to add. I'm just going to add this simple file to keep things quick. Go ahead and click on it, and at this point I can select the custodian I want to assign to it. So now when I process this evidence, it will all get assigned to the Tim custodian. Well, custodian spelled wrong in that case, but whatever this guy is. And you'll be able to see that in the facets. If you want to understand more about how to utilize custodians, go to the custodian video. It will explain it all there. But this is how you use them within the processing widget. All right, the next thing I want to explain is additional data. Additional data can be added to the case or to evidence. And to do that, you come here and you select custom fields. Custom fields are set up in your admin widget under report, and they're under report because these are fields that can get reported on. I'm not sure that's the most intuitive place for them to be, but that is where they are. So I'll show you in configuration, come here to report, and you can create fields for case and evidence. You can see I've done some demo fields here in which we're allowing the user to select a case type, and the options here are murder or theft. He'll enter the agent name and the date the investigation started. And then for evidence, I've done something similar. We've given them the phone type, and they can enter the text or the number. Obviously, you'd have multiple types of evidence, but here we just need the one for the sake of the example. So let's come back to processing evidence. And we're going to go ahead and select on that widget. And we can see here, we can select our case type as murder or theft. We'll go with theft, a little bit less dark. The agent's name here in this case is Tim. We're starting on the 17th, and we're going to go ahead and save this data now. A lot of people are tempted to hit this save button when it's like this. They'll enter this stuff and they'll click save. There's no reason to do this. The save button only corresponds to these custom fields. So if you haven't entered anything, don't bother saving it. So I sort of messed it up there because I reset it, but let's go ahead and do that again. And we'll save. All right, perfect. All right, there we go. And now we're going to do the same thing for our evidence. We'll call it a phone, and we'll call it Samsung. I think I spelled that right, and we'll give it my number. Give me a call if you're interested. And again, the save button, same as before, is applicable just to this these custom fields. And so now we've saved data associated with this evidence, and it will be there for future use. So let's go ahead and do emailing now, the last thing on this demo. Let's go ahead and select hash, and we can click process. And this is when the emailing comes in. We can enter an email address. And this email address will be sent when this processing job is complete. So if I just go ahead and click save, it will get sent when the job is complete. There is another email that is relevant, or email service, if you will, that is relevant. It has its own video, so I'm just going to quickly review it here. But if you go into admin under messaging, you can set up emails for all sorts of jobs. So whenever a add evidence job is run, which is what we're running here, this email is going to get sent when it starts, when it finishes, and is going to get sent an approval email, and meaning that the job won't actually kick off until this user approves it. By clicking on a link they will get in their email. And again, there's a whole video dedicated to that. So I'm just going to come back here and I'm going to click go. And what we should see is actually totally anticlimactic. It should get stopped in the registered state, which is exactly what we see. And it will be in there until the guy who got the approval email goes and clicks on it. Unfortunately, I haven't set up my email server, so if you were watching, you see it was sort of flashing a bunch of failed messages up there. So this job will never go forward. But nonetheless, that is how you use the emailing feature, the custodian feature, and the additional information or additional data feature of the processing widget. Hopefully that is helpful and gets you a good sense of the different features available in this widget. Thank you very much.